Good afternoon. Thank you. It is indeed good to be back here at ARPA-E. I'd like to thank Director Wang and her team for the invitation to be with you again. I'd also like to give a special shout out to the Alaskans that are in attendance. There's a strong contingent from the University of Alaska. I happened to see them on my way in, but they have been the recipients of some of the ARPA-E prizes, and rightly so, because they're just rocking it back home. So shout out to you all. This is now the fifth time that I've had the privilege and the opportunity to speak at the ARPA-E Summit. And I think every time I come, the audience is a little bit bigger. There are certainly more innovative technologies that are being showcased. And ARPA-E's results, whether it's the patents to the partnerships to follow-on company investments, everything just kind of keeps growing. And those are good signs. Those are good signs of a program that is finding more success than perhaps we ever even imagined. But we need that. We need that because the world continues to face significant challenges on energy poverty, energy security, and of course, climate change. Right now, there are an estimated 775 million people who do not have access to electricity, basic electricity. And the International Energy Agency tells us that number actually rose by 20 million people last year. It's no surprise that so much of the world is so hungry for energy, with analysts forecasting that global demand could rise 50% by the year 2050. And in the midst of that, the impacts of climate change are worsening, especially in my state of Alaska. Our permafrost, we see it melting, our sea ice is receding, wildfires are worsening, wildlife migration patterns are changing, and some of our iconic fisheries are on the brink of collapse. So we've got our work cut out for us, and the best way to do it is by prioritizing technological innovation. We know that innovation is responsible for up to half of the growth our nation has experienced since World War II, supporting tens of millions of jobs, higher standards of living, and averting past projections of domestic crisis. And innovation, really, when you think about it, is the most economically beneficial policy that we can pursue, the most universally supported. And that's why you have seen, I think, a flurry of activity in Congress with 5 major energy and climate bills in the past 3 years, all with innovation at their center. I was proud to lead on the Energy Act. This was the act that brought the phase down in hydrofluorocarbons. The bipartisan infrastructure law that was just recently enacted. These are all complemented, of course, by the CHIPS and Science Act, as well as the Inflation Reduction Act. So when you think of all of these legislative initiatives, really all coming together in a couple years, there's some extraordinary work out there. And between those measures and the annual appropriations process, Congress has put more funding on the table for energy and climate than we ever have before. More than $500 billion could be available through grants, tax credits, and other forms of federal assistance over the next decade. And this is where all of you come in. I am a firm believer that we will not meet the challenges of our day with the energy technologies that we have today. We can't meet the challenges of tomorrow with what we're dealing with today. We have to do more. We have to do better. And that takes ideas, that takes brain power. It really takes out-of-the-box thinking. And it takes programs like ARPA-E so that when the green shoots of a new idea emerge, we have a way to nurture them and help them to reach their full potential there. And if you want to know why I'm an advocate for ARPA-E, that's really it in a nutshell. But I'm not here to sell you on one particular program or a product. What I'd like to do instead is pitch you to a place where your companies can pioneer and add to their successes. So when you're ready to kind of move out of the lab, when you're ready to go out into the market, you're going to need a place where your creation makes sense, even as you may still be working to bring down its cost and really to perfect it. And I would suggest to you all that there's no better place to do that than in the state of Alaska. You might be surprised that I'm advocating for Alaska and not necessarily Texas, but we're larger than Texas by 2.5 times. Just a little bit. But hey, folks, we are the Arctic state. We are the state that makes the United States of America an Arctic nation. We have the most coastline, the highest mountains. We have more than 3 million lakes. We might, I'm actually doing a fact check on this, but we might be the only state that's actually had to close a zoo because a bear got in instead of getting out. So we're a little bit different. We like to say it's bigger, it's bolder, it's better, it's rawer, it's hotter, it's colder, whatever. It is a land of extremes, but it challenges you. And you see that in the people that you meet, who are perhaps a little more out-of-the-box thinkers. But we really are a proving ground. We're the perfect test bed for every technology under the sun, as well as those that rely on the sun. We're regarded as an energy powerhouse, we are, but our most populated region, the Rail Belt region right around Anchorage and South Central, where just about half the population resides, this region is one that has been powered by our natural gas from Cook Inlet for decades now. We're actually having conversations up there about having to import LNG into South Central Alaska. Think about what that means to us. Think about what we're trying to do to be innovative to avoid bringing in Canadian LNG into a state like Alaska. But when we talk about the energy superpower, it's not just big size. Think small, because we are host to so many isolated microgrids in communities where the cost of energy is just excruciatingly high. That's a problem for us, but it's also an opportunity for the companies and the ventures that come out through ARPA-E. If your costs per gallon or kilowatt per hour are high, well, think about ours. In Noatak, up in the interior, fuel costs reached as high as $18 a gallon last summer. Down in Akutan, on the Aleutians there, price of energy was 95 cents per kilowatt hour before state subsidies kicked in. We have an entire program in the state of Alaska. We call it the PCE, the Power Cost Equalization, that serves to decrease power bills for tens of thousands of Alaskans. We'd quite honestly like to put an end to that. We'd love to stop burning diesel in our outlying communities, but we need technology options to make that happen. And that's why I'm asking you to consider Alaska. You'll be competitive there before almost anywhere else in the world. And if you can prove your technology in a vast, rugged terrain, pretty tough climate, trust me, it's gonna work pretty much anywhere else. In Alaska, you can make a difference from day one. And I would also suggest that you can meet some of the best people. You're working in the midst of incredible scenery. You can add to our proud history of energy development, and know that we will be mighty thankful for you, because we know how many doors are opened with cheaper, cleaner, affordable energy. So if you should somehow decide that Alaska is not your place, I'm not discounting you. I'm still gonna be rooting for you. We all will be, because we'll be proud to know that you're thinking big, you're taking risk, you're helping to find the solutions that we all need to meet our great energy technologies. So keep up the pioneering, keep up the Imagineering. We need our engineers but we also need our Imagineers. Thank you for being so many who are making such a difference in today's economy. Thanks so much.